Gestalt is primarily Gestalt therapy, which was a therapy form that was developed in the 1940s by Fritz Perls and his wife Laura Perls. It came at a time when the existential movement was really happening, and it also came at a time when the humanistic philosophy was out there. So existential, in a sense, takes away a lot of the romance and a lot of the emotionality, and it tries to say, you know, in essence, what is, and we project onto it, but it doesn't change the nature of what a thing is. Humanistic is a belief that we're all born with all of the tools inside us that we need. Therefore, everybody is a complete, empowered human being with the ability to evolve. Gestalt, the word means wholeness or completion. Gestalt also has been used in art and photography in order to describe how our mind makes a pattern out of something that we're perceiving. In particular, a work of art may have a lot of diagonals in it. So one Gestalt is the diagonals. That same work of art may also be in black and white. So another way of perceiving it, or another Gestalt, would be black and white, black versus white, light and shadow. Sometimes there's a picture within a picture. What this relates to as human beings is that two of us can be in the same room with the same scene going on and be experiencing completely different perceptions. Out of the perceptions, there is, in Gestalt terms, a foreground and background. If the background would be all the perceptions that anyone could have, the foreground is which one we choose to pay attention to, or which one pays attention to us. In Gestalt therapy, when a person gets stuck seeing something only one way, they may come into the office and say, I'm stuck with my relationship, or I'm stuck in my job, or I'm stuck in where my life wants to go. We use optical illusions sometimes to show how at first something looks one way, and then when our mind understands the dynamics differently, there's a shift. So no one would want to go through life only seeing things one way. So Gestalt seeks to enlighten people by giving them more ways to see what's going on in their life. I think that enlightenment has been discussed, you know, at length throughout history. Certain cultures, such as the Asian cultures, have had Zen and other forms of philosophies. Enlightenment, I think, in essence, is growing away from an external higher consciousness idea into a merging or an integration with that same ideal. You have to drop a lot of the fantasy, and you have to correctly merge with your inner reality in order to achieve a balance. And I think the balance yields all possibilities, and then from all possibilities we make choices. I think that's the beginning of the enlightenment process. We're going to explore it in the workshops, and we're going to come up with a lot of focus, a lot of emotionality, a lot of coming to terms with who we are as an individual in the universe. And I think the coming to terms part is going to be very powerful for a lot of you. Narrating versus creating. Duality is everywhere. We have two eyes, two hands, two ears. We talk about up, down, in, out, left, right. We're built in a duality. One duality of consciousness is narrating versus creating. And I think that the voice in our head that is always with us, a lot of times narrates what's going on, and we as a conscious being react to that narration and we follow it. It's so ingrained that we don't ever question the narrator inside of us. Yet, God or Brahma or any higher being, how you express your higher power, is a creator. The sense of creating versus narrating is like the difference between somebody who's surfing and somebody who is leaning forward and has crept up to the front of the surfboard and is right at the moment where the waves are part of the surfer. And I think the creation is the ability to, in a balanced but creative way, create your reality from the inside while paying attention to the reality of the outside. And not being a subject reactor, but being a proactor. And I think as we get closer and closer to that brilliant, luminous edge, I think there's a lot of divine essence that's built into all of us that explodes into you. And the here and now, the eternal present moment becomes this glorious, expanded, joyous living ability. And so I think that's what we're going to talk about with narrating versus creating.